Hello people, welcome back. We are back with another video. As I promised that we'll be coming up with new videos related to economics, and in that we'll discuss the basic concepts. So today we'll start with our first module, that is Introduction to Economics, and in that we will start with very basic question or very simple question, that is what is economics. Okay, so though it may sound simple, what is economics, or it sound as a simple question, but yes, very often simple questions are the most difficult to answer. So what is economics? Economics is basically a study of production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in a society during an accounting year. Generally, when we ask in class what is economics, what do you understand by economics, generally people come with different type of definition, like it is the study of money and so on. So it is not like that. Economics is the study of only money. Very basic. Economics is the study of production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in society. So economics was there since the beginning of the mankind. Even during, if you remember, during Harappan civilization, there was no money, but still trade used to happen, production used to happen, distribution used to happen, and consumption used to happen. Okay, even if there was no money or currency as such. Okay, and even then we had import and export, right? You must have heard how we had trade relation with Mesopotamia and the different trading stations, or like Dilmun, Makran and so on. So next basic question, a very important question, is what is the core concern of economics? Why do we study economics? So the core concern of economics is allocation of scarce resources or scarce productive resources. And why do we need allocation of resources? Because resources are scarce and hence we want to maximize human wants. So this is why we study economics. Moving further, two types or branches of economics. What are the two types or branches of economics? So as you all know that there are two branches of economics. One is microeconomics and the other is macroeconomics. Okay, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now what is microeconomics? It studies the economics at the individual level, or study of units like demand, supply, customers, households, etc. While macroeconomic, what do you mean macro? The word itself says macro, that is something at the larger level. So studies the behavior and performance of an economy as a whole, or study at the aggregate level, or study of economy at the aggregate level. So here we discuss concepts like national income, GDP, inflation, monetary policy, economic growth, economic development. So as our concern as for competitive services is mainly macroeconomics. Okay, this is most important for us, macroeconomics. But it is not so okay, microeconomics is not important. Even in we need to know certain concepts of microeconomics. Why? Because they build a base to understand the macroeconomics. Okay, so there's one more thing, one more branch known as mesoeconomics. I don't know how many of you know about that. If you know, please let me know in the comment section. What do you understand by mesoeconomics? So that's a question for you. I want to you to let me know in the comment section what do you understand by mesoeconomics. Okay. Now we shall move forward. Next we will discuss about the approaches to economics. So there are mainly 5 approaches to economics. So what are those 5? Number 1, laissez-faire, or it is also known by the name capitalism or neoliberalism. Second is socialist or state economy, which is exactly opposite of capitalism. Okay, state economy or socialist economy, it is exactly opposite of capitalism. Then you have what you call mixed economy or Keynesian economy. Then fourth is development economics, and fifth is moral economy. We'll discuss each of this individually in detail. Let us start with first laissez-faire economics or capitalism or neoliberalism. So what is laissez-faire? It is based mainly on the private ownership of means of production. Okay, so here the ownership of business, that is means of production and distribution, is mainly owned by the private sector. It is mainly owned by the private sector. Okay, one second, let me change the color. Mainly owned by the private sector, private ownership. And what is the main motive here in capitalism? The main motive here is to earn profit. So this theory proposes that human well-being can best be advanced by liberating individual entrepreneurial freedom. Okay, so by this theory, the objective of this theory is that the role of the state should be limited to only governance, not business, or it reduces the role of the state into a police state. That is, you just take care of the law and order, business will be owned and regulated by the private sector. Okay, so that is what we mean by capitalism and or neoliberalism or laissez-faire, where there is least intervention of the government in the business. Next, second is socialist or state economy. It is totally opposite of the capitalism or laissez-faire. What happens in this? It is based on public or state ownership, that is government ownership of means of production to achieve greater equality and give the workers greater controls of the means of production. Okay, so in socialist or state economy, the ownership of means of production is mainly owned by the state, that is government. Okay, and it socialist as a theory does not allow private ownership of means of production. Okay, and it comes in different variants, different form. For example, in India we have as you know that preamble reads that we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India a socialist, sovereign and secular democratic republic. So the constitution mentions India as a socialist, but it is not purely socialist. We have modified version of socialism, and that is Nehruvian socialism. Now what is Nehruvian socialism? Here what happens, there is a mixture of private sector and public sector, both coexist. Okay, apart from this, other socialist model are like how earlier let's say before 1991 as well USSR or Cuba, they are also known as communist model. Okay, so there's a slight difference between socialist and communist. Okay, you can say the socialism is the first step towards communism, or communism is the accelerated version of socialism. Okay, I hope you got it, the difference between capitalism and socialism. Now let us move forward and we will discuss the next three. Third, mixed economy or Keynesian economy. Now you must be thinking, okay, what is the difference between what do you call Nehruvian socialism or mixed economy? It is same thing. It is one and the same thing. Okay, Indian economy is a mixed economy, or we also call it as Nehruvian socialism. Both of them are the same thing. Mixed economy or Keynesian economy, it is one and the same thing, because this mixed economy term was mainly coined by one of the famous economists known as J.M. Keynes in 1936. J.M. Keynes, as you can see his name here, in 1936. So it is a mixture of private sector and public sector, as both of them can produce and distribute goods and services. So term was coined by very famous economist, that is J.M. Keynes, in 1936 in his general theory of employment, interest and money. Now what happened in 1921? There was a Great Depression. Okay, and this Great Depression, mainly the capitalist countries were affected, and hence they had no explanation to that Great Depression. So how to come out of this Great Depression, or what causes it, and so on. Okay, so J.M. Keynes, he after his research, he came up with his theory known as General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, 1936. He said that the purely capitalist model has failed, and hence what we need is a mixture of private sector and public sector to do business. Okay, or there should also be an intervention of the public sector or a state in business, because what happened, the cause of 1929 Great Depression was in main cause was depreciation in demand, or reduction in demand. So James Keynes said, okay, now the demand has reduced. Now here the major role lies with the government to increase the demand. How? By increasing the cash flow or money flow in the economy. Hence he came with the term that there should be an economy which should be a mixed economy. That is, economy should neither be purely capitalist or not purely socialist. It should be a mixture of both. Hence it is also known as Keynesian economy or mixed economy. India is also an example of mixed economy, though we do not mention it in our constitution, but practically it is a mixed economy. Next is developmental economics. So it is a branch of economics that deals with not only promoting economic growth but also improving the well-being of the population as a whole. And how does it aspire to achieve that? That it generally what happened till then, economists were mainly talking about economic growth, that is growth just in numbers. Okay, like economic growth, like increase of GDP to this person, to that person, and so on. But they said, okay, what if the economic growth is not converted into development? Okay, for example, let's say India is among the top 10 largest economy, but still India is not developed. Why? Because we fail on certain parameters like health, education, standard of living. Hence, developmental economics mainly talks that the economic growth should percolate to the masses. And how? What are the parameters? Health, education, and standard of living. And namely, two very important economists, Amartya Sen and Joseph Stiglitz, got Nobel Prize on the same topic in 1998. Okay, so this is what developmental or development economics means. Next, or last but not the least, we have moral economy. Now you must be wondering, what is moral economy? So moral economy is simply an economy where cultural, religious, or moral values play a dominant role over business. Okay, so it is a name given to economics to the interplay between cultural, moral, and economic activity. It describes that various ways in which customs and social pressure force or influence economic actors in a society to conform to traditional norms, even at the expense of profit. For example, as you can see on the slide, that no alcohol is served in Gulf airline. Why? Because all the Gulf nations are Islamic countries, right? And in Islam, the consumption of alcohol is prohibited. And hence, even though it is highly remunerative, okay, it is highly remunerative to serve alcohol, but still these airlines don't serve alcohol. So you'll find many such examples of moral economy even in India, where there are certain sectors which are very lucrative, or let's say there's a lot of potential of money making or earning, but still people avoid doing that because of the cultural, social, moral, or religious norms. So I hope this was a helpful video and on the introduction of economics, and this is the part of module 1. So that's all for the day. Thanks a lot. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe your own channel, that is Gyan Chowk. Bye bye. Have a nice day.